Yeah, so it's a full
Are we just
screen
gonna do
you
the whole
first.
fucking thing over again?
Yeah. God damn it. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That's the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name's Ty. I'm going to be your host.
And I'm your co-host, Distance. There's a cursor in the middle of my face.
Can you feel that?
Yep.
You swat it away.
Ugh.
Good job. I'm so sorry about that. Tonight is the Metacast movie show about Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is a 1997 sci-fi action comedy? Question mark?
It's directed by Paul Verhoeven, written by Edward Neumeier, and based on the book Starship Troopers by Robert E. Heinlein? Question mark.
These names are killing us.
Yeah.
I got the easy names. It stars Casper Van Dien, Dina Vier, Denise Richards, and Jake Busey.
The budget was $105 million with a box office take of $121.2 million. The tomato meter rating is 64% and the audience score is 70%.
So Starship Troopers follows the military career of Johnny Rico as humanity fights a war against an extraterrestrial species that they call the Arachnids. This movie is... It's definitely a piece of satire. It has a very high number of scenes that cause me to roll my eyes so hard that I feel like I pulled something, and I laughed a lot, and for a lot of it I'm not sure if I was laughing at the movie or with it, but I think that that's okay. I think that in the end I enjoyed it, and I have to give it a yes. As far as should you watch, I definitely give this movie a yes. Where do you land?
Yeah, I also would give this one a yes. And it's really just mainly for the same reasons. Like, to me, this movie is like the Beastie Boys. Like, they're so awful, you just like them.
And it's a good contrast to like what we watched last week, where it was kind of a bad movie that was just bad. This is so bad that it's very, very good.
Yeah, it's like, you know, for fact that they definitely did, well, not for fact, but you're pretty damn certain that they did it on purpose. Whereas like last week, I think they were actually trying to make a good movie and they just ruined it. But you know, the satire is the funniest part. I think it's the best part of the film, and it's the main reason why you should watch it. Like, it's supposed to be bad. I mean, Doogie Howser's in it, for God's sake. But
it's also the satire does more than just comedy. I think that there is like a lot more to be said there. That the satire, like the use of the propaganda pieces and everything in the movie,
yeah.
there is something there to think about, I guess. So all right, we're gonna go to the spoiler territory, and we do have a guest this week, actually. So we're gonna bring on our guest Craig. Where are you? Where's with guest? Yeah, there you are. All right. So how did you feel first and foremost about Starship Troopers, Craig? Give us your like overview.
Oh, and you can spoil it now.
Yeah.
It is very, very difficult to make a good movie, and I mean that you know, just generally good. Whether it's a funny movie, a serious movie, whatever, it's really hard to make a good movie. But I think what Starship Troopers was able to do is take a movie that not only didn't take itself too seriously, but basically forced you to laugh at it and make it a good movie.
Yeah.
But in doing some, in making fun of itself, basically, but also having some pretty powerful messages as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that is the question that it kind of came to my mind watching this, and I wasn't 100% sure. The movie does make fun of itself, right? Because it doesn't, like, it's all so tongue-in-cheek that I couldn't actually tell if it was just that it was really trying to take itself seriously and fell very flat, or if it was a joke the entire time.
Right.
I mean, I think it was a little bit of both. I mean, they wanted to make a film that was like good and fun. I mean, $100 million isn't really a joke as far as like a budget goes, you know?
Especially in 97. Yeah.
Yeah, and like at the time, I remember people talking about how great the special effects were in the film,
Mhm.
and in 1997, that shit was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Oh,
And
very.
I mean,
It
the
holds
anime.
up.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, the tank bug's a little, but I mean, other than that, I mean, like,
I mean, to give it some context, in 1997, that's the exact same year that Titanic was made, and that budget was only $200 million. So this had half the budget of Titanic, which was,
wow.
I mean, you know, a James Cameron massive undertaking.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, this movie was like, I mean, this movie in my mind is in a very similar category as The Fifth Element, where they were like huge budget sci-fi movies that ended up being comedies that, but this one, like watching it again, I'm not 100% sure that they knew it was going to be a comedy. I do think that there, like you're saying, that there's half and half. I think that a lot of it was trying to make an almost serious action movie. But then there has to be a lot of it, though, had to just be like memes. There was so much that was ridiculous in it.
well, I mean, the news pieces, like the propaganda shit they're doing, that stuff was very so tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
right? I mean, it was wasn't it?
Fantastic.
But that's the stuff that's like, which to me was obviously like, you know, satire in some regard, but that wasn't like over the top. Like the stuff to me that was like over the top funny was like, did anyone notice why like, the Xander was just always sweaty? No matter the fucking scene, it's just he was drenched in sweat. You first see him at the football game and it makes sense. But then there's like all these other scenes where no one else in the scene is sweaty at all and he's just fucking drenched. Like, and it's stuff like that it's like, hold on. This is it's almost like Leslie Nielsen Naked Gun level of like slapstick comedy in certain scenes. And I'm like, what is going on? Like,
dude, I just watched Naked Gun actually
Nice.
for the first time in like 15 years the other day. But yeah, and Xander I think was kind of overdone, like the whole like cocky, like hot guy, like persona thing. Like, oh hey, yeah, I'm gonna join the Federation. I'm sweaty. I didn't notice that, but he really is drenched, isn't he?
yeah,
He's always sweaty.
There's one scene I was like even gonna bring up a still of it, but they're in the cockpit of one of the starships, and he's sitting right next to Carmen, and she's completely fine, and Rico's right behind him, and he's fine, and then it shows Xander, and he's just dripping sweat, like hair is complete, like it looks like he just got out of a pool.
But you know, it's funny, and like I don't know if you guys like went there with this movie, but kind of watching it now, like I've actually watched this movie 3 times in the last month.
Okay.
Because I watched it a while ago, then I watched it the day that I sent you all that text when we decided to do this one, and then I watched most of it earlier today, like right before we started. And one place I kind of went with it was I thought a lot about like veterans. Like I think that they want you to kind of like, and it's a different thing now because in '97 I guess Desert Storm happened, right? We'd sent people overseas, you know, to the Middle East, and you know we'd been in whatever other number of other wars. I think this was more of like a World War II kind of satire. The movie.
Well,
What do you guys say?
the book was written in, I think it was 59. So the book was like almost, kind of end of World War II into Cold War kind of. And that's one of the things that I learned, I guess, doing research for this is like the book and the movie have two very different messages almost. Like the book was written as very pro-military, and that like the meaning of the book, or like the theme behind the book, is kind of almost that like any civilization that doesn't have a strong military will not be around too long. And then the movie that came out in the late 90s is almost like kind of, you know, satirizing the like military industrial complex almost.
Yeah, I mean, it basically slaps you in the face for an hour and a half saying, look, fascism.
Yeah. Which it reminds me of like if the Federation from Star Trek was like fascist instead of socialist. It's like this is like the fascist version of like that Federation.
Right.
I mean, the teacher at the beginning when he's like, you know, the power which all other powers are drawn from, violence.
Yeah.
Like everything's solved with violence. And you know, and it's like, I don't. That's a very like might makes right kind of like attitude, I think. But in some situations, it kind of is like, I mean, that's not entirely false, but I don't. just depends how you define power exactly.
Yeah,
but
true.
Guys, you know that the teacher was the second captain on Sequest, right?
I don't think I've ever seen Sequest. No.
Really? You never saw Sequest?
Like, hold on.
Ironside?
Yeah, you're talking about Ryan, the guy that hosted. Yeah, the guy that hosted
no.
American Idol. Ryan Sequest.
Wait, what? No, not what? What? Oh God,
Ryan Sequest.
That was nice.
That meme has to be made.
Yep, it needs to happen. But like the first one was Bridger, and then there was another captain after that. And I'm pretty sure he was played by that guy. Hold on, let me look it. I'm gonna look that up now.
But you're talking about Michael Ironside. Yeah, Michael fucking Ironside.
Yeah, is that his name?
Yeah.
Of course, his fucking last name is Ironside.
Yeah.
And also, did you guys notice? I don't remember if either of you watched the show, but fucking Frank from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool catch.
You mean Hank?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Hank. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Craig's a big fan of that series.
It's been way too long since I've seen any Breaking Bad. Jeez.
I watched the final episode with him half drunk on his couch.
I like how the show ended.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Neither do I.
So all right, so first of all, like back to Starship Troopers. I do have to say one thing. I've been playing a lot of that Factorio recently. And so I did feel like an emotional connection to hating bugs. The biters in Factorio remind me a lot of the arachnids in Starship Troopers. The way they like swarm and attack and everything. They even just kind of the physiology. I don't know if that's the right word I was going for. The anatomy of them, I guess.
I mean, they very well could have just ripped them off completely.
So, but like I've had a few like really frustrating experiences over the past few days of those like brainless bugs destroying the factory that I spend hours and hours building. So I've like a hatred for, so like the propaganda pieces kind of worked on me. I was like, yeah, fuck bugs. Like, yeah, let's go. Like the one where it shows all the little kids just stomping on the beat, or like, yeah, I was like, yes. Yeah.
It's like everyone's doing their part.
But it did.
Oh my God, the mom in that scene.
It's so creepy.
When her kids are stomping on the bugs, and she's like,
she is way too into it.
It's terrifying.
Yeah,
it was like sadistic, and those were like those were actual bugs. Like they were actually killing insects on camera. Like, and I think those were like one of those like those giant hissing cockroach things.
Yeah.
Those things are hard to find.
So hilariously, I not even an hour ago found the biggest, ugliest camel crickety looking thing in my dining room. And
did you keep it for the thumbnail?
That would have been the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But no, I stepped on it and it sounded like bones crunching. It was the biggest camel cricket I've ever seen. Biggest, ugliest camel cricket. And I've seen a lot of camel crickets. I used to install cable.
Oh yeah. Crawl spaces, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
So
yeah, bugs are gross.
There is like a I don't know if it's like an online discussion type thing. It's not really fleshed out in the movie, and it doesn't really give you an answer either way, but like a lot of people kind of theorize this. Do you guys think the meteor attacks were actually like had anything to do with the bugs, or is it the government giving us an enemy and just going out and attacking this species? Like, because it tells you in the beginning that they like sent a meteor to our planet somehow, but it never really goes into the logistics of that or anything. Like,
I imagine that the way they did it was the bugs that are like attacking the ships.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that they just fired some. Isn't it strange that these bugs were somehow perfectly adapted to fight humans with the technology that they had at that time specifically?
Mm-hmm.
With butt bombs.
Yeah, like I figured that they just like shot the little glowy energy shit out of their butts and like hit the meteorites, and then somehow were able to calculate some way to get it even with the planets moving on the other side of the fucking galaxy.
Well, no,
yeah,
they pushed it like
you're right.
They pushed it through a black hole. Was the because remember they even Carmen's ship like runs into it near a gravity anomaly or whatever. Like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like there are like. It could be believable, but it's like it kind of leaves it up in the air, and it makes me wonder. It's like with all the propaganda and everything, is like, is that really what's going on in the movie? Is they're just kind of selling you this story of like, oh yeah, the bugs are attacking us. We need to defend ourselves. When in reality, we're just actually colonizing planets and running into the indigenous species and wiping it out, basically.
The fact that it's never brought up, and the fact that the bugs can shoot blue bombs out of their asses into space, I don't feel like that was intended to be the case, but it would have made sense in the context of the movie for sure.
Yeah. As the audience, we can make it whatever the fuck we want.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the term. Have you guys ever heard the term headcanon? Where it's like in my headcanon, that's what happened. Because it's like, the canon that's going on in my mind. Like that's what happened in the movie, in my mind at least. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you guys also notice how ridiculously similar the blue bombs are to the tank, the tank in Halo?
It actually the wraith. Yeah. The way they travel is even like,
right.
Well, and interestingly, apparently in the book, excuse me, the soldiers are in like mech suits, basically like Halo Spartan suits. They're
Nice.
they're like super soldiers, and like the one video that I watched, they kind of made the argument that I think it was like 1958 or 59 book, we wouldn't have Halo or mech suits or many of the like sci-fi tropes that we have if it wasn't for that. It was almost like one of the first originators of that idea.
Well, troopers look like the ODST in Halo, like straight up like.
So the book was written in the 50s?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Was it called Starship Troopers?
Yes. Yeah, it's just yep. And it has a lot of the same characters, but as I was saying in the intro, I think it was before we actually started the episode, but the character Diz in the book is actually a male character. It's just a friend of Johnny's. So I guess there's the love interest with Carmen, and then once that dissolves and he's in the military, it's not there isn't like a second love interest with another character, from what I understand.
So were you guys team Diz or team Carmen?
Oh, definitely team Diz. Carmen sucks, dude. Yeah, like
Diz.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Craig! Don't you? You know what? He was on Team Diz, and then he heard that we were, and he can't possibly fucking agree with us.
Here's my problem.
Oh shit!
Here's my problem. 2 out of the 3 of us already said Diz, so I can't say Diz.
No. She's so hot though. They're
Denise
both
Richards.
Hot. Yeah. You don't think?
But that's Carmen or that?
Yeah, Carmen is. Yeah, dude. Really?
I didn't know which one is which. I don't. Do you know my
90s posters and shit?
I had Neil Patrick Harris on my wall. All right.
It's a good one. Speaking of Neil Patrick Harris and fascism, how about his outfit after he gets promoted?
Very SS.
Oh my God!
Not only like SS and
have a trench coat on
straight off the Death Star. Like that is Hux. Hux was wearing that exact same jacket.
Yeah, I did notice the one scene where it's the Grand Marshal it's on the like one of the newscasts. The Grand Marshal's in front of a large group of people, and he's talking about declaring war on the bugs, and that their symbol's actually like almost like that little eagle symbol that you would see.
Yeah,
that's the similarity to Hitler's total war speech, and that.
It's like, you guys know the very opening little propaganda piece that it starts with, like the flashback type, or like, it starts with that first little video and then it flashes back to a year later. That first little video is almost shot for shot a remake of one of the original Nazi propaganda pieces. I forget what the name of it was, but it's one of the it's like the person, like it was purposely like mimicking that. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities in what they're showing you.
Yeah, they don't mince any words with their comparisons to Nazism.
Which I think that's like the interesting thing that it's kind of telling you the whole time is like how dangerously close society is to slipping to that kind of like totalitarian regime. And it's like that's like the funny kind of like scary thing at the same time is it's like it's tongue-in-cheek saying like, hey, you're only always a few steps away from this.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that because I knew that the book existed. I knew it was based on a book. I've never touched the book or like learned anything about it.
Okay.
I did not realize that the book and the film were trying to say such disparate like things. Like
Yeah.
disparate, however the fuck you say that word. Different things.
What's the difference in opinion on war that 40 years will make? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, guys, this is like I just had my 1,000-mile stare.
Well, yeah, you really did. But it is like,
man.
It is true that it's like, I mean, if you think of the position that the world was in the late 50s versus where the world was in the late 90s, it is just like, yeah, war was a very, very different thing in the minds of almost everyone. Yeah.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, Desert Storm, wasn't that in response to Iraq doing like slant drilling into Kuwait, where they actually would like go essentially cross border lines to more or less take oil? Isn't that kind of where the no blood for oil thing started?
That's from what we understand. Yeah.
So like I kind of wonder like what that had to do with the way that they did the film then. Because like, dude, we were like in 5th grade when this shit came out. You remember that, Ty?
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, is like it's of course, like, you know, doing a discussion on this movie, I want to be as objective as possible, but it's also hard to talk about this movie without being super subjective, considering that it was like especially talking about it with you, where it's like we were like, you know, in 5th grade, 10-year-old kids that kind of like bonded and made a friendship over seeing this movie too young. This was one of the first like R-rated movies that I remember like seeing and really liking as a kid, and like, so it's like it's hard to like try to be objective about this movie. I definitely remember that. I remember as a kid, I mean, like I'm saying, I saw this so young that I thought the whole citizen versus civilian distinction was real. I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that was a thing from the real world because that's how young I was when I saw this movie.
I recognized that I'd never heard it before when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't really know or understand what that is. And it was before we'd taken a civics and economics course, so I didn't really. Yeah, and it's funny because I will tell you, my mom definitely covered my eyes in a couple parts of that movie. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was because, you know, it's funny, like they carefully cover all of the male genitals in the shower scene.
Yeah.
Right?
But like the rip off.
Yeah, like, haven't you guys seen Any Given Sunday? Come on.
In all fairness, they cover everyone waist down from the front.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like, you know, showing women topless and not men topless, and it's not like and I think they show butts from both. So it's like it's just that, like, right, like you see Casper Van Dien's butt like front and center, or that may be a body double.
But that's Casper Van Dien. Like, it actually sounds like I'm indignant about that. Like, there were none, damn it.
But I think it's so funny that it's like almost the point of that scene was to kind of show us that, like, in the future, men and women they have like co-ed showers, and like nudity doesn't matter. But it's like it had the complete opposite effect, where like way too many like young 10-year-old boys were like, oh yeah, this is my favorite scene of the fucking movie.
Yeah, I was like, I think that might have been the scene, the first time I'd ever seen, like, well,
I was wondering.
I take it back. Wait, no, hold on.
Were those the first boobs you saw?
I think they might have been.
No way. Wow.
It'd be funny.
Craig's like, you were a sheltered child.
Yeah, we learned the only reason we like this movie is because it's the first boobs we saw. And we just like, we were like Pavlov trained into loving this movie. Yeah, I love that movie. This boobs. Hold on.
It was cool because it was like an R-rated film. It was cool because there was so much action. And guys, why the fuck do guns have to be gigantic in the future? What the fuck is up with that?
Well, I mean, the enemies are pretty big.
Yeah,
you do kind of like
the guns are so advanced you don't even have to use the sights.
Which I like how in the beginning of the movie, when the arachnids, it takes like 5 guys like forever to kill one, and by the end of it, like one guy can take out 4. Yeah,
like with a combat knife that he's not even using. He puts it in his teeth and kills him with his bare hands.
They do there is kind of a lore reason for that. Neil Patrick Harris teaches you in a video to go for the nerve stem.
Right.
He like even tells you about how like if you shoot off one of their limbs, it's still 86% combat effective or whatever. Like, so there is like they try to explain that, but yeah, no, it is kind of silly. But I do love how like they kind of lose that fight in the beginning though. That it's like or like the one they flash back to and it is kind of silly that we're using like that like artillery ammo like that against what are basically armored creatures. Like it's kind of like they're just sitting there dumping bullets into this like what is effectively a tank. Like,
and it seems that shooting those guns that appear to have no recoil is very strenuous.
You might as well
they're like ah!
Might as well fire handgun at a Panzer.
Exactly. Yeah. Like yeah. It reminds me a lot of
Saving Private Ryan, where he shoots his pistol and someone actually hits it with artillery.
Exactly.
I love that scene. But yeah, it's like I don't. And actually, if you look, those rifles, there are no sights on them.
Yeah, not at all.
They didn't even put them on them, like in the film.
Baby.
Yeah,
they just made them big.
You're shooting a like 20-foot tall bug from like 15 meters. Sights, but also, I guess they do tell you to aim for a certain spot, but still, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with what? But guys, we're completely like missing and just glossing over the fact that Gary Busey's son is in this movie.
I know.
He was great in this too. Yeah. I love him.
He is in so many bad movies.
Mm-hmm. And he always plays that same character. He is always the same dude.
I had one of those moments in the middle of the movie when I was rewatching it because it'd been a few years since I'd seen it. But I was like, who is that fucking guy? Yeah. And I looked him up and I go, oh my God.
It's a fucking Busey. Yep.
So like when I worked at Blockbuster, which is just showing my age, Casper Van Dien, right? He was in a bunch of straight to DVD movies. Yeah, kids, DVDs are what we had before we could stream things. And every time we would get them all the time. We got pretty much all of them at Blockbuster. We'd get like 5 or 6 copies of it. And me and one of the guys had this running joke. We're like, we'd open, I was always there on the day we received the new movies. Okay. So like before they came out, before we put them on the shelves, and it would be like, oh, dude, Casper Van Dien, the new Casper Van Dien's here. And there would be like customers in the store, and we would never tell anybody like that it was a joke. I'd be like, dude, I'm so excited. I can't believe I've been waiting so long for the new Casper Van Dien. Like he was like Van Damme or Stallone or like Jason Statham or some shit. Oh my God. And like our boss is like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, it's Casper Van Dien.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. Dude, so speaking of Casper Van Dien, I could not get over the fact that they were supposed to be in high school at the beginning of this movie. Right. I'm pretty sure he was 30.
Like 25. Yeah. Was he really? No way.
I'm sure.
29 years old.
Yes, exactly.
Graduating high school.
That's I remember like an old friend of.
I was so confused. I like no part of my brain put together that they were supposed to be high school students. Until Jesus like Christ. way too far into that movie.
Ty, that's not that far off. He's 51 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you he was like 30. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So they were.
Richards is what? She's in her 50s for sure, right?
Yeah, they were all like late 20s, early 30s playing high. Well, I think Neil Patrick Harris might be a few years younger, but.
Right. Because he was.
I don't know. He could be 50 now too. I would believe that he's 50.
I'm just not sure.
I searched is NPH 50, and it's telling me about insulin mixtures that are, and NPH apparently stands for something else other than Neil Patrick Harris. Today I learned.
I don't know. Neil Patrick Harris might be more up there.
He's 47. So he was so he was a few years younger than the rest of them. But yeah, so they again like they were like it's American Pie. They're like late 20s playing high school students.
Right.
I want to do one of those honest trailers for this movie.
Oh God, yeah.
Like and starring or also like co-starring Barney.
Have him say suit up and cut to Casper Van Dien like
yes.
I would have gone with Doogie Howser, but whatever.
So oh man, this There's so much of this stuff. Okay. This is another one
I'm
that
just thinking about scenes from this movie.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is another one that made me think that it's like supposed to be a slapstick comedy. The checking of your test scores on the huge wall in front of everyone, and how Neil Patrick Harris knew a command to just like full screen Rico's score. Like that kind of stuff is just it's over the top silly. Like I don't know. I was so confused watching this.
Medic. To me, the dumbest part in the movie was at the very end when they have the brain bug, and it's funny because we don't even know Neil Patrick Harris's character's name. We just keep calling him Neil Patrick Harris because why not?
Carl. I think it's Carl. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, Carl. He's just really good at playing characters with crappy names, except for Doogie Howser. At the end, when they have the brain bug and he uses his psychic ability, he's like, "It's afraid." Like, it's afraid. Everyone's like, woo! Like somehow that's like some big celebration. Like, why are you so fucking stoked that it's what?
Because if it's afraid, that means you can beat it.
Yeah, you're winning. Yeah, that's what it's the mentality, man.
It'd be scary if it wasn't afraid when it got captured. If it was laughing to itself, saying, "We're gonna get you, motherfuckers."
True. Yeah. Yeah, I love
so Nazi Doogie Howser has to go up and
right.
Like,
was the whole like psychic thing important at all to the plot? Was that necessary?
No.
Okay, I was
not even remotely.
I didn't think so.
It was just so you know that the bug's afraid. Was that even in the fucking book?
That I don't know.
That scene where Johnny is trying to figure out if he has psychic abilities, and he's like, statistically, you should have like guessed right by now.
Yeah,
or accidentally got them right.
There are sequels to this movie, right?
There are six. Yeah. There are six sequels.
There were six? I saw the third one. It was called like Marauder.
There's a lot. Yeah,
There's my favorite line in the third one. They're on a drop ship. Like Rico is leading them. They're on a drop ship about to like land and fight some bugs, and he's a colonel, I think, at that point. Rico is. Okay. And he looks at one of his troopers. He's like, "You got something to say, trooper?" And she's like, I mean, it's just a good day to die, sir." And he's like, "Outstanding." Like that scene is like, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, indoctrination is an accepted part of military training.
Yes.
Like they call it that, and everybody knows that that's what it is, and that's what's happening. But those are some seriously indoctrinated troopers.
Which they show that pretty well in this movie with the whole like the scene where they go get tattooed together and everything. Like there's a lot of that that's shown pretty well.
What was up with him pouring the alcohol on the tattoo? Like at the very moment it was finished?
Yeah. There was a lot in this that's just so silly. Did you guys notice that like when they took their oath, that it was like and as much longer as may be required by the needs of the Federation? So it was basically like literally like signing what could be your entire life away as long as the Federation needs it. Yeah.
You belong to us.
Yeah. I like in that scene where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in the infantry. That made me the man I am today."
When he's
lost all his limbs.
Mm-hmm. Which that's
at that very moment he backs his wheelchair out and you see that he's missing his legs too.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's apparently different in of course a lot is different in the book, but like apparently the recruitment officer was also a paraplegic like that, but was like trying to convince Johnny not to sign up.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like completely different. It's interesting.
Oh wow. Well, they actually, I watched the making of this movie back in the 90s, and they used amputees for a lot of the scenes where people get dismembered.
Mm-hmm.
So they had amputees. Like, actually, I think that the scene where they go into the, I don't know if it's like that. And why do they have to pick on Mormons?
I thought that was interesting because I thought it told us that the Federation was outcasting religious sects, basically. Because it was like the Mormons were like outcasted to this planet, and then when they tried to set up a colony there, it was already inhabited by bugs and they got destroyed.
Huh.
That's what it sounded like to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but actually, now that I think about it,
I know it's been a while since this got brought up, but I'm still my mind is still blown by there are 6 sequels to this movie.
Let me make sure that is correct.
Because I don't think I saw the second one, but I definitely saw the third. Like the third was on. I think we had it when I worked at Blockbuster. I think I just rented it one night because I was like, I've watched everything in this fucking store.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm a liar. There are only 5 actual.
Only.
There are only 5 actual movies.
Oh,
So
man.
only 4 sequels, but there are other like animated and other stuff like that. I think when you include the animated movies, I think that's where there are 7 altogether.
Oh yeah.
But as far as live action official movies, there are 5, which the one good Starship Troopers is one of. So there are 4 sequels. The most recent of which came out in 2017, and it has what I think is this animated? I can't even tell. Starship Troopers Traitor. Yeah, it's an animated movie. Rico has like a badass eye patch now. He's looking like Nick Fury. Interesting. Okay. I have.
So it's like, oh wow. So like Starship Troopers, Dan Crenshaw. I like it. They should do another sequel following Rico's political career after he leaves the military.
I'd be into that. I could be into that.
It becomes the air marshal or whatever, sky what
I forget.
The Grand Marshal.
The Grand.
I think it's Grand Marshal. Well, I hope it's Grand Marshal.
Yeah, I think it's Grand Marshal. I'm pretty sure that's what they call it.
That's the top PvP rank in World of Warcraft. So I hope it's Grand Marshal.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it is. Did you guys? I found and this is a little silly, but I found myself having kind of an admiration for the Roughnecks. Like,
go on.
Like the squad. Like I thought their little like salute thing was cool. Where they sounded all Spartan-y, like hoo-ah! Like I don't know. It just seemed.
One of the scenes that made me roll my eyes the hardest was when it became Rico's Roughnecks, and they all knew the salute all of a sudden the first time it was done, and when to hoo-ah at the right time and everything. Like, but I mean, I get what you're saying. The camaraderie and everything. Yes, I there were some parts I thought that was pretty silly.
Oh yeah, I mean they go over the top with it, and like I think they were trying to tell us something, like the audience, when they backfill the unit or platoon or whatever that's called. They backfill them, and the cadets are all like 18, 19 years old. Like they all look like kids, which is weird because, all the protagonist characters from the film,
they should all be relatively the same age.
They're supposed to be,
in their 30s.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to give us like a sort of an indication that, a lot of people that end up dying in war, like they're very young. I mean, there's people I'm pretty sure that I think because Matt Best from Black Rifle Coffee wrote a book called "Thank You for My Service." It's kind of funny, actually. He was quite the scoundrel. He has some crazy stories, but by the time he was like 22, like he'd like been in combat, like he was a ranger for a while. I mean, like he'd seen some crazy shit, and it's just weird to think that you get out of school and then you join the army and go through like ranger school and all this stuff, and then join the ranger battalion, and then you go out and kill people and then like while all your friends are at home like getting fucked up and not going to class or whatever. It's like, it's just weird because he even talked about when he came back home that sometimes it felt strange. But it's like I don't know, man. It is kind of scary because, like, well, if you think about it in every way, like, okay, the scene where I forget what he says, but he runs in. What the fuck is his teacher's name?
Oh, they even like say his name is weird. Rajshek.
It's a very strange name.
Yeah, Rajshek. Well, that's one of the funny things they do in this movie is like, did you notice that like North and South America are basically just joined? Where it's like so they're all from Buenos Aires, but they're all like super white, and they have like Hispanic sounding last names, but it's just like he's Johnny Rico, but he's just like a very American boy Rico. Like, and then when they hear the German sounding last name, everyone's like, oh, that's a weird last name, Rashak. Like,
yeah, weird European names. So yeah, but he tries to ask him at the dance, Mr. Ragshak, I'm reading his name now, about like what he should do, and he's like, making up your own mind is one of the few freedoms you have.
Yeah.
Make your own decision, Rico. But it's like, why? It's strange that we expect an 18-year-old kid to figure out what the fuck they're going to do for the rest of their life, regardless of if it's going off in a starship to go get eaten by alien bugs, or just like being a fucking accountant. I don't know. There's just, and you know, when you see the scene where the very young looking, because I'm sure the extras that played those like troopers were probably like 14 or 15.
I don't know. They might have just been like actual like 18 or 19-year-old kids.
Oh, well, they all looked really young, and I think that there's I just felt like there was something that the producers were trying to say, creators. I mean, the creators were trying to say there.
Well, I mean, I think in all reality, I think they were saying it almost super heavy-handedly when Rico's line is even almost, he says to Ace Busey's character, he's like, oh, looks like we're the old men now. When it's like, yeah, they're supposed to be what at that point 20, 21, like, oh yeah, we're the old men now, and he has to like then repeat the same lines that he was told by Rashak before that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because if you hear like, because you know, like the career path is join Navy, go to Buds, become SEAL, leave teams, write book.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that's like what if you hear like some of these books of these SEALs, right? When they talk about the old experienced SEAL, he's like 35.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
And you're expecting like what Nick Nolte's character from Tropic Thunder, like I only know the sound it makes when it kills a man. But it's not. It's like they're not really that old. It's like an old athlete, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to compare it to like an NFL career span when you talk about like someone's being retired at like
pushing 30 now.
Yep.
I feel like there was another thing I wanted to touch on about the film. What is the thing they say? Like the marshals do the flying, mobile infantry does the dying.
Oh yeah, they don't call them marshals, but it was just
something.
Yeah, it was MI does whatever. The dying. Well, yeah, whatever they call the yeah.
And to me, like I kind of like picked up on some of the, you know, like the hostility that we have between like different branches of the military, like in the U.S. Like Navy talks shit about Army talks shit about Navy, and even like there's some special forces groups, like I think TACP is considered special forces, but they actually just like are basically a dispatch.
Okay.
For like aircraft, I think.
Okay.
And like so one special forces group will talk shit about the other, and like I don't know, it's just funny. But just reading that hostility in the film between those two like groups, like that, you know, one group doesn't really fight and the other group does, and like, you know, Carmen's character and that making more of a divergence between the two of them. Like, am I making it sound like this movie has more character development than it has?
No, I mean, it definitely, like, okay, so it does, but at the same time, did you give a shit when Diz died?
Well, okay. The only part that I cared about was the fact that as she's coughing up blood, she's like, but at least I got to have you.
Okay.
Like,
no, I laughed that entire fucking scene. Like, that's another thing. Like, it had, I can't, I don't know. That was another reason why I was so fucking confused, is even like movies that are comedies know when to make a scene serious, and this movie couldn't even make a death scene that I think was supposed to feel serious at all. That entire, like, the death to the funeral to like that entire 8 minute or however long that was just felt laughable the entire time. Like, he's saying, he says to her like, nah, you're gonna be all right, Diz. She literally just got stabbed through the abdomen with like a 6-inch in diameter pincer from an insect thing. He's like, no, you're gonna be fine. Like, and she's covered in like obviously fake blood in laughable areas on her face. Like, it's like even the special effects team was like phoning it in for that. Like, it had to have been comedy, but
Wow.
I didn't notice all of that, but I did get a really good kick out of at least I got to have you.
Yeah.
This woman who is dying
Yeah.
is thinking to herself, at least I got to fuck this guy.
My high school crush. Yeah, like that's what really matters, right? Yeah.
Thinking about that?
Plus, not to like, wasn't it okay? This occurred to me as just ridiculous. I don't know if this like popped into your guys' head. They're in this war where troopers are dying left and right, but then Diz has this huge funeral that we see where she's launched into space in this massive coffin. It's like, hold on, like didn't like 20,000 troopers just die today?
You don't get it, guys. She got to have Johnny.
That's true.
So she gets a big funeral.
That is true. Okay.
So we're all on Team Diz except for Craig, apparently. But
yeah,
we didn't give a shit that she died.
Well, explain this though. So why are you not Team Diz?
Yeah, we got it.
I don't think that's defendable.
If we're talking about
don't talk about foreign policy now. We don't care.
Yeah,
anything's defendable.
Well, let's hear it then, because in my mind, literally, like it is like a it's almost objectively supposed to be like the Carmen's obviously shitty and Diz is obviously not. I thought it was meant to not even
talking about who's a better person or who's prettier.
Who
it's not.
Who I would prefer Johnny to end up with.
Yeah, it's not Denise Richards versus Dina Meyer. It's Diz versus Carmen.
Yeah, it's like Twilight, you know.
As far as who they are as a person,
as far as who is better for Johnny.
I think Johnny was fucked either way because Diz was gonna be a manipulative, crazy person, and obviously Carmen didn't really give a shit that one way or another. So
maybe
they're both awful.
I guess You're trying his.
Actually, he never told us that he wasn't Team Diz.
No, he's just trying as hard as he can to not give an answer to this.
He's just Team Contrarian, no matter what you say.
It depends on the question you're asking. If the question is who's better for Johnny, neither of them, because they're both shitty. If the question's who's hotter, I have a really difficult time with that question. They're both very attractive.
No, that's not the question. No. I'm still so confused about this movie.
Diz.
I mean, yes, the answer is definitely Diz, and I think that's like I was saying. I think that's what the storytellers were trying to show us was that like Carmen just sucked, and it was like I think it was kind of Johnny's immaturity to be attracted to Carmen.
Yeah,
and he kind of like grew out of that as he like matured as a person and developed as a character.
I mean, he joined the Federation because of her, you know. I mean,
exactly,
it was like, so that's kind of speaks to his naivete, whatever the fuck you pronounce that word. I don't pronounce things correctly all the time. You know, the one thing that kind of pissed me off a little bit was that there's a misconception, I think, about the military that people that are like infantry or that do like any type of combat on the ground with firearms, that somehow they're idiots. They're like a bunch of rule following robots. And I hate the fact that it's like, oh, Rico's mobile infantry because he's an idiot. Like, he's a dumb jock. Like, you know, that kind of pissed me off. Then like there was the guy from the farm planet or whatever that ends up getting his fucking head shot off. Like, why did they kill that guy? Like, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
It's like pushing Rain Man off a cliff. Like, that's how I felt about that. Like, even though he's actually a genius.
I love how that guy like plays a dumbass in every movie too. Like he's also like
he's in other movies.
Oh yeah, he's like the team dumbass in Major League 2.
Yep.
Oh god.
Yep.
And he lived on a farm. He tells stories about getting kicked in the nuts by a horse.
Typecast.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's really good in that role. I gotta hand it to him.
Yeah. So, fun fact: a lot of the scenes where you see dead bodies in several places, most of those are like plaster dummies. But they took molds and did like replicas of several of the production crew
Oh, really?
And a lot of those corpses are replicas of them. And the making of the film that came out around the time the movie did, they show one of the crew members right next to their corpse replica.
That's kind of
like
cool.
its arms ripped off and its chest ripped open.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I wish I had a corpse replica of me. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that would be pretty fucking cool. I think everybody wants to be a corpse in a movie.
I think everybody's gonna be a corpse eventually.
Yeah, I mean, but
with any luck.
With any luck. Great. I did think it was cool because I didn't notice until I watched it the second time that, or the second time recently, that when was it Sergeant Zim or whatever his name is, the drill instructor?
Yeah.
That he says the only way you're going to see combat is if you make yourself a private.
Yeah, and he demotes himself.
And he's a private at the end of the film.
Yep.
And he has to salute Rico. You know, and also, like, I wonder, like, what the fuck kind of world are they living in where Rico gets someone killed in a live fire exercise? They're like, we're just gonna whip you like 10 times. Then you can still be a squad leader.
Yeah, the administrative punishment.
They took away his squad leader.
Did they?
Yeah.
At first.
Oh, but then later on when he's a roughneck, he ends up, because like conveniently the second in command dies.
Yeah, I love how he just walks into all these promotions, just like no official promotion ever. Just kind of like, oh, corporal just died. Looks like you're gonna be it.
The fact that he's like, does he have? Is there any way to salvage this trooper or whatever? That whatever the guy's name is at the training facility. It's like, well, I mean, like in SEAL training, they get like safety violations if they do dumb shit, like in live fire exercise or if they're out of position or whatever. So to me, I think that if something you did got someone killed, they would just expel you.
Well, that's the thing though, is he was gonna be expelled, but instead they went with administrative punishment. Instead of expelling you, they can whip you.
So it's like, yeah, so we could, it's like, okay, either you wash out or S&M.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And here's the other thing. If getting whipped with that kind of whip that would like rip your skin open would be terrible, right?
That's pretty brutal, yeah.
Like terrible was pun intended, as in skin tearing.
Right. But they only gave him 10 licks.
Yeah. He killed a dude.
For getting a guy killed.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, how bad is this whip?
And also, is that like the way that guy like does the whip? Is that really how you do that? Because he looks
he was the worst. He was the worst whipping guy ever. They should have hired like a femdom for that.
They should have gotten Harrison Ford to do that scene.
Right.
That. Oh man. So what are the like? Did any themes jump out at you guys from this movie? Like one of the ones that I really enjoyed was the whole like, the like hubris and like underestimating the enemy. How we were constantly just thinking that the bugs were like stupid and there was like no reason to be tactical because it was like, oh yeah, we're just gonna squash them like bugs.
Right.
Yeah, there's the one scene where it's the teacher, which by the way, I got to remember this person's name, but the person who plays the teacher is, I forget her name. She was on the fucking Golden Girls.
Oh,
Rue McClanahan.
Yeah, it's like, it's like we think that we're, the most evolved creatures in the world. And,
yeah.
So there's like that scene in there where it kind of gives you the whole like, don't think of them as just bugs, and then
which we do kind of have like the tendency to think of like we think of us as like being done with evolution. You know what I mean? Like we're like, yeah, we are what evolution came up with. Not that it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of humanity's like hubris, basically, is what we're saying. Like to think that we are like the perfect being.
Right.
Well, I mean, dude, like, come on, read any text from the Abrahamic religions, dude.
True. That is true.
That's all you need to know. No hubris there. That's not anthropocentric at all.
I mean, look at me.
Like, look at this. Look at these specimens right here. How could it get any better
fair.
this threesome of like anxiety, depression, and like low self-esteem.
Don't forget alcoholism.
Alcoholism, battling with negative self-talk. I mean, like, yeah, irrational, like paranoid, like just we're great.
Perfection. Yeah.
It doesn't get better than this.
I think you're right. I don't know where I was coming from with that one.
I think we all have mediocre at best facial hair too.
I can't even like grow full facial hair. I've got a mustache. That's it.
That's really hurtful.
Craig's is you got that weird thing with your chin though, man.
What's wrong with my chin?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
it's
your
the way that it grows on the. Okay, this just went a bad direction.
No, I love Craig's facial hair. I'm trying to cross out with the. Oh, I did have another note
just
here.
A bug. Okay.
Another note that I don't know why this bugged me, and it's the semantic lover in me. The fact that the bugs are not fucking arachnids.
No,
they are not at all arachnids. Like, why did they call them arachnids?
That has bothered me a few times.
They're way more like camel crickets.
Yeah, like
they look that way, and they kind of remind me of the stag beetles that have like the big like pinchers on the top, or pincers. Sorry. But yeah, they're like a mix of all the bugs. But yeah, the arachnid thing is a little fucking weird.
I even like, cause I have arachnophobia. Which actually I like that they're not arachnids in this movie, because I probably would like the movie less if if this was like eight-legged freaks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I would like it less. But so it made me look up what the actual definition of arachnid is to try to figure out if they would classify, which made me go.
God, did you seriously?
Yeah, so I had to go to the Wikipedia page for arachnids, which has tons of pictures on it that I don't want to be looking at. But yeah, like an arachnid, the thorax is supposed to be segmented. An arachnid has like you've seen spiders. They have none of the bugs in this had that. So why call them arachnids? It just
you are such a stickler for semantics that you had to basically did the beginnings of exposure therapy.
A little bit, yeah.
Fear of spiders,
a little bit,
to figure out whether or not they were full of shit by calling them arachnids.
If it makes you feel any better, I had the exact same thought.
Did you really? Okay.
I thought that a couple times. Like I really was like it kind of irked me a little bit. Like they're not. Why do you call them arachnids?
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't really get it.
Well, that was another thing that made me wonder, like, is this all just supposed to be funny? Like, is it just like
right?
I really wish that there was the little making of featurette that you saw. Like, did it have a lot with like the director or writer, or like going into like their intentions for it, or was it more just kind of like on set stuff that they were showing?
What would lead you to believe that anybody gives a shit about this movie was just like a sci-fi clusterfuck. In fact, if you guys remember, Song 2 by Blur was in the previews for this movie.
In one of the trailers, awesome. Yes, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And they also use that same song in fucking Wing Commander.
Do they? Oh yeah.
In that yep.
But yeah, it was a long time ago. I was like, 10 or 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember them really talking much about the intent. I think that they did brush on the whole like war propaganda thing.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, because I think they just knew their market.
I would just
their audience was.
I want to know the
It's probably on YouTube. You could probably find it.
Like the feeling or the atmosphere on set. Like, was it like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this really badass scene, or is it like, this scene's gonna be fucking hilarious? Like I don't know what was the dialogue that was going on between the people on set. Like I want to know what when they I'm sure this is old enough that they were actually still filming on film. So when they got the dailies back the next day and they were watching them, were they laughing, or were they like, oh yeah, this is badass? Like I don't know what they saw, like what the visual of what they were making was.
I just cannot imagine that at least once when Diz was dying in Casper Van Dien's arms,
mm-hmm.
that one or both of them didn't laugh at some point.
Exactly.
I mean, like, there's no way.
Yep.
At least I got to have you.
Yes, exactly. Like either everyone in this movie, it went like way over their head, or yeah, they were cracking up and they knew what they were doing. But.
So I'm putting a YouTube link to the making of the movie in the chat.
Oh, perfect, sweet.
So
I'm
if
gonna
anybody
watch.
wants to watch it, you want to watch it later.
How long is this?
I think that they mostly talked about special effects in the making of.
Okay.
I watched. It's like 30 minutes long.
Okay, yeah, it's 20. Yeah, it's about 25. Which that is one of the coolest things about this movie, and that is the one of the things I love about the mid to late the 90s movies, like, because I think even Jurassic Park is the same thing. That's 93, but because so much of the effects are practical, it stays looking good. It doesn't date itself. So like a lot of the bugs still look good because they were actual animatronics. It doesn't have like super dated CG that just starts to look really, really cheesy.
Well, even the CG, because I watched Jurassic Park like a week ago. Even the CG Brontosaurus in Jurassic Park isn't awful.
No, yeah, it's not.
I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's actually a decent little, graphic, whatever you want to call it, 3D model. So I don't really.
We covered my notes. What do you
I don't.
Craig,
really
what
know
else do
I
you
have to
have
say
for
about
us?
this one.
Craig's got more to say. I can tell.
I have so much to say.
Oh,
I love this movie.
I do too,
Me
man.
too. Like,
Yeah.
I love it. It's because the other day, like, this conversation started, like, when we were texting each other the other day, I out of nowhere sent a text to both of you, and all I said was, whenever I'm in a bad mood, boys, I just watch Starship Troopers and everything is wonderful again. And after that, I said also, what the fuck, Craig, because of that weird YouTube video he sent us, but whatever.
Yeah. But that's like, I do feel like for the amount I've said that I was confused by it, or other things that I've said that it may give the feeling that I don't enjoy, I do love the movie. I love it. I think it's a great movie, and I enjoy it. It's just like, it makes me wonder what the creator's intention was and what they thought they were making.
And to that point, you said that what other movies is Casper Van Dien in? Are there any that I would maybe recognize?
No.
And in those movies, does he ever? Yeah. Was he ever like?
He was in Sleepy Hollow, and he was in Alita Battle Angel.
He was in Sleepy Hollow. Who did he play in Sleepy Hollow?
He played Brom Van Dien. No, Brom Van Brunt.
Oh, he was Brom?
Yeah, he was Brom, yeah.
I actually just watched that movie for the first time like a couple weeks ago.
Is that the Johnny Depp one?
Yeah. It's actually the Christina Ricci one, but sure.
Okay, look, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 post-production movies in this filmography.
Yeah, he's very active right now.
Yeah, he's done like a lot of stuff. Apparently he was in a series called All American. I think there was a series he was in that is actually relatively popular. Apparently he does a voice in Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Yes, he does.
Deadpool the musical.
What is Deadpool the musical too? He played Cyclops?
Deadpool. Yes, we're looking at the same list, aren't we?
Yeah.
He was in the reboot of Hawaii 5-0. He does voices in the Starship Troopers animated films, it looks like, dude. Superpower Beatdown. Ty, are you seeing this?
What is Superpower Beatdown?
What is this
a TV
link?
series short. Apparently he played Boba Fett versus Star-Lord. What the fuck is this?
Hold on. I just found a video that he's in that...
Wait.
Oh, that was the wrong link. That is not... I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Casper Van Dien is not on Pornhub.
I swear he was. I thought I saw him in some Ratpocalypse.
Right,
Shark versus Whale Wolf.
Along the lines of what Ty was saying, do you guys think Casper Van Dien's acting in Starship Troopers was intentionally bad because he and the directors decided he was going to be like that, or is that just him?
This is not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I think it's just him.
It is just
I
him.
think it's just
Arnold,
him.
Arnold was intentionally bad. I think they did a lot of like bad acting, and I think that for all the shit people talk about Mark Wahlberg, I think in the movies where he acts badly, it was intentional. So like I
Right.
think we know what intentionally bad acting looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what we're looking at. I sound like a sports announcer, right? Well, you see, Bill, we know what bad acting looks like when it's intentional. And I don't think that's what happened today.
I wish you had like Casper Van Dien on screen right now drawing circles. Like, no, you can see by the way he's moving his mouth here that
So okay. Also, apparently, he played a character named Griffin Stone in several episodes of Beverly Hills 90210 in 1994. He was also on Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman in '94.
Nice.
I can believe it. Yeah.
Apparently, he was also on Saved by the Bell. He was an extra.
There was a TV series called Mortal Kombat Legacy, and he was, of course, Johnny Cage.
Oh,
He would have been a good Johnny Cage. Like that's a
He's
good
perfect.
yeah, that's a good cast job for Johnny
He's
Cage.
already played a Johnny once.
Yep.
A Johnny, not a Johnny.
I could see him as a Johnny.
Like, you're my friend.
So what did we come up with a final answer for next week's episode? Like we started talking about it before the episode. I don't remember if we landed on. Did you choose something?
I don't think we did. Hold on.
You pulled up the list and you started looking at the possible episodes, or the possible movies.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wait. No, that's the. Oh God, I don't know my way around our own freaking. There we go. Google. I would like to do. I would like to do Elizabethtown next week.
Elizabethtown? Okay. All right, see that here.
Yes.
Okay. Well, guys, you heard it here first. Next week is Elizabethtown.
True.
I don't even remember that movie.
You guys have fun with that.
Next episode forecast. I thought it was a good. It's gonna be fun. Wait, what? Okay, you have to come now, Craig.
I can't next week. I could come the week after.
Do you have to wash your top knot?
Let's do. Okay, well, let's talk. Let's talk then and come back the week after. What would that be? Hold on. So today's the 26th. So Elizabethtown the 2nd, and then all right, cool. We'll talk and try to come back on the 9th. Do another movie.
I can do. I can't do the 9th either. Actually,
Fuck. What about?
my Wednesdays are booked all through September.
Ah, damn. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
well,
figure something out. But
We'll be back on someday.
all right, guys.
Maybe you guys can tape me on a
Just
different
have
day.
let's have a pre-recorded Craig. We'll do live, but we'll have just Craig's segment of the
Yeah.
conversation
We
pre-recorded.
can like stop and like interject, like pause him wherever we
No,
want.
no, no.
Like,
to.
you guys can be talking about a thing, and I'll have a prepared thing for it. And like,
Let's-
you go, what do you think, Craig? And then you hit play.
I just want a Craig soundboard. Yes, I just want like a bunch of samples of you saying, yeah. So let's do favorite lines. Everyone have their favorite line ready?
Yes.
Oh fuck!
Craig, I don't know if we told you or not, but you have to do an impression of
That's
the
what I'm gonna-
character.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Okay.
If this is your first time, you have to line.
Hold on. All right. Am I going first?
You know what? I'm gonna let you go last. I'm excited about this. We're gonna build up to it. All right. I'm gonna go first. I love this line. I thought it was so fucking stupid. This was the first moment in the movie where I really started rolling my eyes. So this was the first like I needed to stretch my eyes to roll them even harder. I knew things were coming. Like, but this was Neil Patrick Harris. Well, chances are we'll never see each other again. We'll be millions of light years away from each other. But yeah, sure, why not?
That was really shitty.
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck is going on?
So it's funny because this line, that's like one of those like lazy foreshadowing lines, you know.
Mhm.
So this one is not as funny without the dialogue, but this is a brief moment when I realized that these characters were all caricatures of somebody somewhere. Put your hand on that wall, trooper. Put your hand on that wall. The enemy cannot push a button if you disable his hand.
Yeah, that's. I did love the leading into that. The question of like, what good's a knife in a nuke fight is a legit good question. But yeah, that was ridiculous where it went after that.
Yeah, apparently, in the Federation, you can do whatever you want to cadets.
Right.
True. All right, Craig, what's your favorite line?
Medic. All right. So Michael Ironside walks in and sees a guy with a giant hole in the top of his skull, and he I'm like, say this is the skull.
Oh my god, he's doing the whole scene.
And he just goes, they sucked out his brain.
Oh my god.
That's the thing I didn't mention. How the hell can you get information by sucking out someone's gray matter?
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever
Oh,
eaten
God.
brain before?
What? No, actually, no. I've had pickled pig brain on crackers, but maybe because it was pickled, the memories were gone.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is once you pickle it, the brine sucks out the memories. But if you eat brain, you know everything that animal or entity knew.
You know what? We should make our new slogan like the Metacast movie show. This is science.
Well, once again, we discussed earlier how we have this idea that we are the most advanced species. Who's to say there's not a bug that can't suck out your brains and then glean information from your brain that we couldn't even possibly comprehend?
Yeah, I mean, our body can eat other animal muscle and turn it into new muscle. Why can't theirs eat brain and turn into new brain?
Yeah. The bugs' ways are higher than ours.
Oh,
they move in mysterious ways.
So all right, guys, that is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you were watching this on YouTube and you enjoyed the conversation, hit that like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us how you felt about Starship Troopers. And if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, you can join the Discord. Our link is in the description down below. And we will be live again next week, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TileTV to discuss Elizabethtown. And thanks everyone for listening. I hope you all have a great week.
Get out of here, you apes. You want to live forever?